Welcome, folks. We got number 648 headed your way of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse, where you can find us every Sunday, 8 o'clock in the UK, 12 o'clock Pacific time in the United States. For more of the fun, check out patreon.com/boxing asylum. And for more great podcasts, check out the Sports Social Network, which we are proud to be a part of. I am your host, Matty John Rod. We got Justin, we got Des with us today. We might even have a Donnie appearance today. We might get Rob. He's off in Dublin having a good time. I was going to talk some smack about someone who's trying to mess with the show a little bit and stuff like that, but I'm not going to. It was even pretty funny, but I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to take the high road. You should get a life, dude. But anyhow, let's kick it off with Shakur and Teofimo Lopez, and in a fight that was really, really boring. It was certainly not worth $70, which they wanted for it. So way I watched it on my phone, and I dozed off multiple times. But I kind of feel like if you saw one round, you saw them all. With Shakur Stevenson taking a wide decision over Teofimo Lopez. You just using his feet every time Lopez closed the distance. Shakur, his hand was there to meet him, or he just took them perfect little half steps he takes right out of range. That was that. And just rinse and repeat. It was just he made it easy work. And you got to remember, this is a guy like, Lopez started at 135, and Shakur started at 126. So, I mean, you got to consider him the smaller man. They're the same age. You don't have the man strength filling out kind of argument. Like, he moved up and he just outskilled and schooled a bigger man and made a prime athlete look foolish in there at times. Looked like he lost his coordination at times. It was something to behold, honestly. It was a fight that we really thought, two fighters on a very high level, but the gap between them is just freaking huge. Shakur is that much better than Teofimo Lopez, who was a fantastic fighter. Before this, at least, you had to be thinking of like Edge, kind of top 10 pound for pound guy, I think, on a handful list, but not anymore. That was a schooling. Where he goes from here, I don't know. I thought it was funny that he lost. So did Bud Crawford. Everyone got a good laugh. Justin, did you get a good laugh, or did you get a good nap?
I wouldn't say a good nap because I don't like Shakur. I think I've said that 100 times, but you can't. It doesn't matter what I think about him personally. You can't deny what he did. He kind of did exactly what we thought was going to happen. I think me, you, Rob, all said the same thing, that he was just going to turn Teo off, that he was just going to turn him off, and that's exactly what he did. That's what we all thought was going to happen. We didn't want it to happen because we knew it would be a boring ass fight. We knew it would just, but I mean, just the Shakur does everything. He doesn't do everything perfect. He does everything so well, though. His jab, his combinations, his, like you said, the footwork. He did everything he wanted to do. Lopez didn't have an answer. His only answer was just to come right at him. There wasn't a lot of, I don't know what, and honestly, though, I don't know what else Lopez could have done.
What, you didn't think his dad was dropping nuggets of wisdom in the corner?
But honestly, even if he had a different trainer, I don't think that Shakur last night, anybody who trained Lopez, I don't think there's a lot you could have changed. Shakur just was, the basics were perfect. The 1-2, everything, the jab, he was hitting him whenever he wanted to. The only problem with Stevenson is, as he goes up, and he'll probably move up another weight class or so, he doesn't have the power. He has enough pop where he keep you off of him a little bit, but he doesn't have enough. That's the only problem, because if he had power, he would have stopped Lopez. That wouldn't have went 12, because he was landing just clean, busting him up. And where you said Teo goes from here, I mean, he's still going to have fights, but man, he just got pieced. It was a boxing clinic. Let's put it that way. If you want to show a kid just how you do the basics perfectly, that was last night. Shakur did them exactly the way that you would teach somebody how to do them. So far as how to get your foot on the outside, how to do this, the little basics that you have to do, he was perfect. And that's why you hook up with Bud Crawford and them. That's why you, I mean, because he already had that stuff. And then when you work with somebody like that, they're just going to make it even better. They're going to inch it up a little bit. It's going to make it a little bit tighter. And Teo had nothing. That was he could have fought, him and Lopez could fight 1,000 times and he would lose 1,000 times.
Yeah, probably. And I don't know that people would have been saying that, prior to the opening bell there. Des, you and Rob actually started thinking you thought something was in the air and that Tio was going to win. How long were you watching that fight for until you're like, fuck, that was wrong?
Well, Shakur got into a really consistent rhythm by round 4, and Tio didn't have the intensity or the power to break that rhythm. He didn't have the intensity or the power to close the space down and take Shakur into a very uncomfortable pace. And that's what it's going to take to beat Shakur Stevenson. We've got to try and be balanced with this. So look, for someone like me that come through the era with the 4 kings, that remembers Arguello and Pryor, Costa Zoo, I remember them guys. I remember Roberto Duran. So I still expect so much of my super champions, the guys that have done world titles at multiple weights. And I just think every generation evolves from the last. And if you look at this generation, if you look at a Shakur Stevenson, for example, and he's not the only one, but if you look at Shakur, because he's the one in the big fights at the moment, and we're sort of going over what he did last night, he is like a hybrid amalgamation of Bernard Hopkins, of Floyd Mayweather, and Andre Ward. And when you look in isolation about what them guys did, they've done boxing, they earn an awful lot of money, they've not got a mark on them, they speak ever so well, and they got in and they got out, taking as less punishment as possible, and they did this by adapting and adopting this reactive style. And Shakur has nailed it. And he had really good feet. I like the way Tio tried to dominate the early stages, the very first minute of the first round. He thought, I'm going to take the center of the ring, I'm going to push him back. But as long as you give Stevenson room and distance, he will always be comfortable. You can have the center of the ring. He doesn't mind going backwards. He doesn't mind having his back to the ropes. Tio's a really good fighter. Tio's a very, very capable operator. He's had a really good career. You're right what you said about him being, prior to this one, was someone's top 10, top 15 guy. He's definitely that. But he got absolutely switched off. I thought Tio was going to have a bit more intensity. I thought Tio's game plan would have been to press, to shut down, to close the space, and to force Shakur Stevenson to fight in an uncomfortable pace, knowing he's going to have to do this for 12 rounds. But he got mesmerized by a really good fighter who has a very strong rhythm and he's very, very disciplined in what he does. So no complaints, but I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the brilliance of Shakur Stevenson because he's a sign of the times. And like I said, every generation evolves from the last. And this is kind of where boxing's gone. It's not trendy to take shots. It's not fashionable to stay in the pocket and hold your feet. It's not fashionable to win wars. What's in vogue in boxing today is what we saw last night from Shakur Stevenson. And I've listened to boxing journalists online today and they're celebrating it and it's a brilliant performance. I understand all that. But if I may say this, and this is probably a little bit off-piste, that type of brilliance doesn't bring in new fans to a sport that's losing fans. If that sounds very negative of me.
No, you're 100% right, and there's a reason why I didn't want to pay $70 for the fight, and why I was even less interested in going to New York to see the fight, even though friends of mine were going there. I was like, no, this is gonna be fucking trash, man. Like, I know exactly how this is going.
Well, like I said, I'm not sitting there praising that I love the performance. What I was saying was, we knew what it was going to be, and
it was a master class. But master classes are oftentimes boring.
But Shakur, I don't know who it's going to take to bring the fight out that Dez is asking for. I don't know who he would have to fight that would bring a war type. I don't know who. I don't know. There's not. I can't think of a guy out there that would have to
we
bring that
have
out
to
of
think
him.
we have to think about what we've seen so far, and I hate to break it to all of the Lopez fanboys out there, but even though it goes the same in the record books, William Zepeda gave Shakur Stevenson a way better fight than Teofimo Lopez did. A way better fight, and the only guy sitting around 140 is that I think could give him a rip as far as pressure, educated pressure, good puncher goes. That's kind of a wild card still because he needs a couple more fights before we put him in with Shakur, or it's gonna go badly. But I think Tito Mercado could give him a fun night. I'm not saying he wins, but I think Tito Mercado, if he's what I think he is, it probably does. He does better than Teofimo Lopez does, and I think potentially does even better than Zepeda did against Shakur as well. But and we'll get to it later, obviously, because that fight's to be discussed. But I think skill for skill, as much as I think he's a dickhead, I think Keyshawn Davis might be an interesting match for him. But we had some people in the audience there. One of them, Mr. Donnie Baseball, who is officially now unmuted. Mr. Baseball, how was the experience there? What did you think of the main event? It seemed like, at least before it settled into that Shakur rhythm, that the crowd was pretty electric.
It was. Let me first of all start by saying that every fan of this podcast that I've met, like in real life, men of distinction, men of class, real gentlemen, and I think that applies to all of our friends from New York. Anyways, so after we had some dinner, we went to the fight. We watched Jerrell Big Baby Miller and his bald head old man his way to a decision. That was fun. And then when the main event came around, I had some thoughts about their entrances. Actually, I thought that when Stevenson entered the arena with Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford, I was like, what are you compensating for? Because I'm kind of old school. I like the Mike Tyson entrances, no socks, no robe, black shoes, black trunks. I'm coming to destroy
You
you.
like
And
your
this guy's got to
fighters
come.
as naked as possible.
Yeah, he's got to come with all these guys or whatever, and it's like, dude, just come out by yourself. So then when Tio came out, I loved it. I loved his confidence. He didn't seem overwhelmed by the moment.
The dancers were cool as shit. I thought that was fucking incredibly fun. What a kick they were.
Yeah, you pay a little bit more attention to that, and the way that fighters look when you're actually there in person, because it's like the first time that you're really sizing them up if you haven't been to the weigh-in. So, anyways, so then obviously the fight starts, and then like 3 rounds in, it was very clear to me, anyways, that Tio, he was trying to box a boxer, and he this guy Stevenson has so much ring IQ that was never going to happen. So he needed to adopt a plan B or C or D, but he didn't come with any plan C or D.
The Christmas tree stuck.
Excuse me. There was no plan A, B, C, or D. I mean, he basically, once it didn't work for him, like that was it. Like
It's because his dad doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, and not only that, but also on top of that, like he didn't do anything different. Like nobody was in the corner telling him, "Hey, what you're doing isn't working.
It is.
Why don't you switch to something else?"
I will say it is so difficult to do something different when it's because Stevenson is so accurate. He's good with both hands. He can exit left. He can exit right. But what he does the best is whenever you cross that threshold, he's either going to touch you or he's going to half step out, just like I said at the top. And that makes it very, very difficult to make adjustments because you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll try to devil jab my way in. Fine. He just gets a little bit off the line and he catches you with his own jab and moves out to the left. Like it was one of those times where just unless you were one of those immovable forces of nature who can take shots like nobody's business and will just shove that son of a bitch in the corner and work his body, you weren't going to do it. And Tio's not that guy. You needed someone like a Marcos Maidana.
Well, yeah, you're right. But the thing is, though, is that if your regular plan isn't working, then you need to become that guy. Like, you need to be adaptable. You need to have, some sort of.
He's not that guy. He's fragile.
Yeah, but you need to have some sort of malleability in your style. Like, you need to be able to change if plan A isn't working. And he just didn't do that.
Well, that's what I harped on 100 times over as this fight was coming to the buildup. Is like you can either say that Tio rises to the moment. That's why he beat Josh Taylor, and that's why he beat Lomachenko. And he also, he also lowers himself to the level of his competition, a la Jermaine Ortiz and Sandor Martin. Or it's highly possible that he only really does well fighting at the center of the ring or fighting guys who come at him. Because every time we've seen someone box him, use the exterior of the ring, he's looked absolutely bewildered. It's like, and if you really wanted to take a hard look at those fights, you might come away with Teofimo Lopez being a 4-loss guy right now, with losses not only to Kambosos and to Shakur Stevenson, but also to Jermaine Ortiz and Sandor Martin, as we just mentioned. And at that point in time, what's so impressive about him? We've seen plenty of athletic guys get diffused by a multitude of styles. Why is Teofimo Lopez any different? He beat Lomachenko. It was a great fucking win. But you know what? Looking back, I still think the Kambosos loss, there's a lot to do with that, with his physical state, and I can actually buy a lot of that. But looking back on it, I got to tell you that I think Lomachenko probably beats Teofimo Lopez about 4 out of 5 times, and we just saw that one.
Yeah, and the remark that I made at the end of the fight, I think there was one moment in the end of the 12th round where Teofimo actually got in his face, and then the referee was breaking them. And I said, I think that's the first time that I saw the referee breaking the fighters.
Yeah, Harvey didn't have to do a whole lot last night, did he? He was just kind of there doing his thing.
Yeah, but I mean, if like I said, if you can't box with the boxer, you got to get up close and personal. You got to fight him, on the inside. You got to hurt him to the body. You got to slow him down, and that's that's the tried and true formula. Anytime you're getting outboxed, but it seemingly just wasn't in the bag for him. I don't know if it was a stylistic thing or if it's a heart thing. I mean, sometimes you need to get inside and throw punches.
It might be A or B, or it might be a little A and B. I've kind of gone from seeing Tio as one of the guys to just really seeing what his limitations are. He's an athlete who boxes. He's not a boxer who is an exceptional athlete. That's my conclusion.
And what I'd say as well, Matty, to the chap Ivor Biggin, who made the point, it wasn't boring, but Shakur is capable of a lot more, going through the gears and forcing stoppages late on. That's a well balanced view, and I agree with that. We don't see it though, and what we're seeing, if you compare, let's just say for example, I remember vividly when Costazu fought Zab Judah, how exciting the build up of that was, and the emotion it brought about in fans and what it did for boxing. And I can go back 25, 30 years with big fights. This was a genuinely big fight. And on an emotional level, on a excitement level, on the fact that what does it do for the viewing audience, this will not be good for boxing. This does not bring new fans in. If I was to sit down with a friend of mine and say, I know you don't watch a lot of boxing, this is a really big fight between two of the best, he'd have switched off by halfway and said, it's not for me. This is not exciting. And I think boxing has to go back to And as boxing fans, we are allowed to say, why are we not allowed to ask for a bit of excitement? Now, I know we can't expect it, and these guys do what they do. But last night, to answer what Ivor said, I think that last night, was a bore fest. It was a snooze fest. And that is not how you attract people to this sport. And if that's what we've got to look forward to, these subliminally, brilliantly talented fighters not having a glove laid on them, then the sport could be on its way out. Last night was not good for boxing.
I want to stop you right there because I got to tell you right now, if you were in New York last night, the sport is as lively as can be.
It was a sellout
crowd. Pardon?
I said, yeah, it was a sellout.
It was a sellout crowd. Not only that, but there was like a ton of young people there. And I say that now as like a 40-year-old, and I'm like, oh my God, young people.
Oh, the young people.
these young
whippersnappers.
Yeah, no, you're whippersnappers. Yeah, right, exactly. But no, there was like a ton of young people.
With their trap music and sobriety.
Yeah, they were having a great time. Like, I mean, the sport is alive and well. And then what really killed me was that like right next to me was this like 21-year-old kid. And he was a little bit obnoxious and I think a little bit drunk. Probably like a young black Don Trella. And so anyways, he was talking like, and when Michael Buffer came on, he's like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. I've never like seen Michael Buffer do an introduction before. And he was like totally in it, dude. Like, there's plenty of fans out there if the good fights are made. Like, there's plenty of it. Don't say boxing's on the way out. Like, these kids loved it. They're having a great time
until round 5.
Are they having a great time, Donny? Because they're out for the night and they're in the arena and they're just being caught up in the emotion of it. I mean, do we make a distinction between people that have gone out for an evening because maybe they're attracted to the fighters or they're behind the fighters because one's from New Jersey, one's from New York, and they've sold the fight particularly well to that type of fan? Or are we saying that there are people at home really enjoying this event? Do you think that there was people at home sitting in their armchair thinking, this is a really good fight?
Well, no, not when it happened, no. But I mean, but they were excited for the event, is what I'm saying.
I know, but you could do public executions of people would be there and excited. I understand where you're coming from. Like when you're in the moment, like I've been at the O2, I've been at things like this, and the fights have not been very good, but the event carries it over. But I'm just thinking more for the wider audience. I mean, what does Madison Square Garden hold? What, 20,000 people? Is there 20,000 people in last night?
What the best thing about
MSG? What is that, Donnie? Yes. How many people were there last night? What does MSG hold? Like
about 20 grand.
There you go.
Right. So what would you expect the viewing audience to be? Let me just say
this though, and I always say this. I say this when I'm with Maddie. I say it when I'm with anybody. When you're at the biggest fight in boxing, like, and this is probably the biggest fight of the year, right? And I always say, like, right before, like, that first bell rings, it's like, where else in the world would you rather be but right here, right now, and it was just a thrill, man. Like, I mean, boxing is alive as the fights will make it. If you make the big fights, the people will come.
I don't know. I think if you look at this and you compare two events that happened in New York recently, you have this one, and then you had the Subriel Matias Dalton Smith fight, which was sparsely attended, but the fight itself was genuinely entertaining. What's wrong with this sport is just the way that it's somehow horribly monopolized yet simultaneously really splintered. Like, though that would have been a better event had that been on the undercard. It sucks that that Adames had to pull out against Ammo, which I think was actually going to be a good fight that would have got the crowd going. But that if that fight was on there, it would have been an even better card, and they wouldn't have lost their ass on that Barclays Center event too. It's they need to be thinking about like what the product they're providing is, and instead you had two pay-per-view events where they wanted for the grand total of entry to both of them would have been $125.
Yeah, and something I want to be clear on here, because Lennon has said you can't force fighters to fight the way you want them to. No, you can't. But when you've had 35, 40 years to look back on, you can make comparisons. And this comparison, the comparison I'm making between what I saw last night to what I have seen, this stunk the place out. I'm allowed to say that as well, aren't I?
Yeah, of course. I don't know. It's boxing is, and I think guys like Bob Arum always understood this, but they understood how it functioned better. And God, we're going off on a tangent here, but like basically, you have your big events that are going to make money. They're going to sell pay-per-views. The purses are in line. Asses are going to be in seats. You'll probably sell it out. All that good stuff that makes money, you know. But at the same time, he was going to be putting on events on, you know, ESPN, on, you know, Friday night fights, or when they had the Wednesday night fights, or and all that different stuff, of these smaller things at these smaller event centers and stuff like that, with prospects he was bringing up and putting in against some of his old timers or what have you. And those events, they might have made money. They probably broke even at best, and sometimes they lost money. But that was all sucked up into the top rank product, and it's more than just how taxes work. It's the idea that all this work underneath isn't necessarily, you know, losing money. It's all advertisement for the future events that do make money, and they're missing these steps, and the fighters are not getting the type of growth that they need coming up in the fights that are necessary. That's what's missing here, and that's, if anything is happening in boxing that's not being discussed, is ultimately going to be its demise. It's that fighters are not being moved along properly because they don't understand the model. They thought they were going to change the game, but they don't understand the forest for the trees. If that makes sense.
And I also would like to say, I don't want to sound like an old curmudgeon, but people in the arena, you know, it's like it's a very small percentage of the people watching. It's the tip of the iceberg. We need newspapers to report it. We need it to be online. We need people to sit indoors and watch it, plan their night around it. So I know the 15 to 25,000 people in the arena are going to have a good time. They're going to have a good time, pretty much whatever. But to reaching out to the wider audience to sell boxing, I think we've got to have better big events than this. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm a real boxing fan. I've been watching it a long time. I watched it last night, and I was disappointed. But I understand the brilliance of Shakur, and I understand he switched Teo off. But I'm just making a comparison to things I've seen in my life in boxing in that weight class, and that wasn't as good as what I've seen. Nowhere near.
No, I'm with you. You know, and as much as I hate giving praise to this guy because he's a dickhead who ruined my friend Justin's trip to Norfolk, but Keyshawn Davis looked good in beating Jermaine Ortiz, and it wasn't just that he got a stoppage in the waning seconds of the 12th round after some body shots just really did damage to Ortiz, but it's how he looked in the preceding rounds. You know, Ortiz has made a handful of very good fighters look foolish, but Keyshawn really held his own against him the entire time. He really barely lost a round or two, I think, the entire fight, and he just did not he just did not bite on any of the feints that Ortiz was putting out there, be it with his feet or with his hands. He didn't bite on anything at all. He kept his position, counting on his ability, whether he's feinting, whether he's throwing, I'm going to be able to pick him off. I thought it was a fantastic performance by a guy who I just can't fucking stand.
He's supremely talented. He's got it now. He really has. He's got it now.
Yeah. He's a good fight with Shakur. Donnie, what did the crowd think of that fight? Like, it was a little bit of a slow burner, but that was a vicious end.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I just felt like Garcia you know, I mean, he just didn't. He didn't seem to be.
You mean
like, throwing...
Ortiz?
Huh?
You mean
Yeah,
Ortiz?
yeah. I'm sorry, Ortiz versus Keyshawn. So yeah, I didn't think that Ortiz was really throwing anything that was, you know, loaded with bad intentions. You know what I mean? He seemed content to survive, and you know, that's unfortunate. You know, that was his chance. He's not with a big promotional outfit. You know, that was his one chance to make himself a star, and he just seemed content to survive, in my opinion.
Donnie,
Well, I'm gonna go with
Donnie,
what that woman said. He's a dog-faced bitch. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Donnie, you was there, and I got the impression that he realised that just to survive with Keyshawn, he had to kind of be very conservative in his approach and maybe a little bit passive, and really be selective in what he threw, because Keyshawn was on fire and he was sharp, he was razor sharp. Did you get the feeling last night that he held back a little bit because Keyshawn was so sharp and so at it? Did you realise
I
that
mean,
it's a bit like when people thought
no,
Nazim
he
Hamid?
definitely, he was very wary and concerned
was,
about
wasn't he?
what was
Yeah.
coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when you get in there with a kid, and after about 4 minutes, you realise, if I let my hands go, I'm going to get tagged. If I try to be too proactive, I'm going to get caught. So they go into a bit of a reactive shell, and it's almost like survival mode. For me to see each round out, I've got to do as little as possible and hang in there. And I got the impression he was doing that last night, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, that I think that's exactly on point. Yeah.
Matty, but didn't we call out Keyshawn Davis about 18 months ago when that brilliant crop of lightweights were coming through? He's always been a really good fighter, Keyshawn, and he's someone that's sort of come from maybe the back of the pack to the front of the pack.
Yeah, well, like moving up to 140 has been a good move. It was like, and you could see it. Like I think, he missed weight. No, he had that no contest, and it was kind of stupid because he was just puffing some smoke. But it was after that fight with Nahir Albright, which was a very, very close fight, and he looked less than stellar. I mean, Nahir Albright being an underrated fighter, I've called him for a handful of upsides, honestly. But it was when he missed weight by so much for that fight that Justin was going to go to, and he didn't care. He gave zero fuck about the fans who paid their hard-earned money. That was when everything turned on him, because after that loss, or that top fight with Nahir Albright, he had a very good win over Pedraza, where he just beat the shit out of him and stopped him, who normally very sturdy guy, very durable guy who goes rounds. Yeah, I had said that he hadn't made that weight for a while, but might have something to do with it nonetheless. And then he went and he he beat that Russian kid, and he did like in 4 rounds. You know, I mean, he just or no, Ukrainian. Thank God, that's offensive. I'm sorry. When he beat Berenchik, I mean, he just beat the shit out of him, right? I mean, he just dominated him, in a fighter who has been very solid for a long time. So it was there, but what happened? It's just with the couple of mistakes that he made, you had to question how seriously he was taking the sport. And then when coupled with that disrespect to the fans, not even trying to make the weight for that event, I think that was really the icing on the cake for just like a lot of people being like, I'm done with this dickhead. But he looked really good at 140 pounds. And if he can, keep it between the lines and work hard, I got to tell you, if you want the really interesting fight at 140 pounds, and it could be a snooze fest, but I think honestly it would probably be a real boxing technical display, for the ages, would be Keyshawn against Shakur Stevenson. I think that's a very interesting fight. But unfortunately, you hate to circle back. After the fight, the fucking Shakur Stevenson and Ben are talking shit, and it looks like they're gonna fucking fight. How fucking stupid is that? Like, fuck me. Like, really? You're gonna move up another weight class to fight this dickhead for fucking nothing? Like, my God. My fucking God. Can we just be rid of this fucking asshole Connor Ben? But anyways, yeah. That was those 2 undercard faced. Justin, you have anything to say about the dog-faced bitch and his stellar performance? There you go. That must be your answer. So, I guess we can hop to this fight because it was at least I didn't see it, but a really entertaining moment, I guess, in there when with Jerrell Miller and Kingsley eBay. eBay hit Miller so hard that his rug came off of his head and he got thrown into the crowd. Donnie, what was the crowd reaction like to getting that souvenir sent into the audience?
Well, yeah, obviously, people were a little bit amused about his, appearance. But when it came down to it, I felt like Jerrell Miller, used his like old man tactics. Like he got inside and he was, hitting his opponent to the body, and he ultimately he made eBay, I think, kind of quit on himself. And I thought the scorecards were accurate, and I thought he really, he really bossed him around. And it was sad to see for a guy like eBay because I think he could be going places, but last night he just got out veteraned by a true veteran.
All right, and Justin, what did you have to think about this particular dog-faced bald bitch?
Well, if anybody was surprised that Jerrell Miller's hair fell off, then you haven't been watching that guy's life for the last 10 years. That sums him up in a fucking nutshell. But I like after his hair fell off, he still had like his little fade he had all done up on the side, and he had like the King Tut, the Friar Tuck kind of damn ring around his head like a dumbass. But I guess the question is he's not the first fighter to wear a hairpiece in a ring. Do you remember the guy that you remember Spider Rico from the Rocky movies?
Not really, for some reason.
Well, he's the guy he whooped his ass in the first Rocky movie.
That's the opening of the first movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he actually was a heavyweight contender who fought like Ken Norton and all those guys, and he wore a hairpiece that would flap up and down when he was getting hit. So yeah, he's not the first fighter I've seen his hair fall out. But no, Jerrell Miller, I think Donnie said he just old manned him. He used his weight. That's one thing about Miller. He might be a freaking idiot. He might do stupid shit, but the man can take a hell of a shot. And regardless if it's legal or not legal, he has a pretty damn good motor for a guy who's like 300 plus pounds. And
he's relatively entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of these guys. If I'm not going to, you could put it, he's always a good guy to put on the lower part of a card because he's going to bring something. It could be the hair coming out. It could be just bullshit, but he's going to do something. So he's not a bad guy to keep down there. And hell, you get mad because you can't really get mad because he cheated because they all are. I mean, basically, he just got caught. He got caught like super cheating because then he had like 19 things in his system. So he got caught taking everything you can take. But yeah, you can't get mad at somebody like it just is what it is. But the hair was funny as shit. And then it wasn't they showed it. I think it was on Instagram or somewhere, or somebody they posted on WhatsApp. The Suleiman found the hair. They have the hair. If he needs it back, they have it. It's there.
That should be in Canastota. The fight actually before Davis and Ortiz was a pretty decent little back and forth affair for a while until Bruce Carrington came out on top. And then he absolutely blasted Carlos Castro. I mean, he landed a clean shot, freezing Castro, and then landed a combination to boot before Castro went down, just out. Definitely a KO of the year contender there from Bruce Carrington. It was, he needed a performance like this at 126 pounds. I was pretty impressed with this one, Donnie. It sounded like the crowd was certainly oohing and awing the conclusion. Donnie.
What?
I just said that I was talking to Jesus Christ. The Carrington knockout over Castro. You short attention span fool.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Actually, you know what? I was sorry. I was eating Indian food.
Oh, okay.
So I missed that one. So you
have any thoughts?
I'll pass here.
Did you? Okay. Jesus Christ. Justin, what do you think about that knockout?
Well, I'm eating Italian food, so I'm going to pass on that one. No. It was, I think Castro's a decent fighter, but it was he struggled. If you watch the fight, he struggled with Castro fight. It wasn't an easy fight.
Oh, definitely.
He was, and announcers were even kind of making comments like he needed to pick it up because he's in New York. He had everybody there root for him. And Castro was in that fight. He wasn't winning, but he was in that fight. He was making it way harder than I think they thought it was going to be. Then all of a sudden, just boom, just took him out. And that's what he had to have. I mean, I like Carrington, but you've got to, if you want to make money and you want to be a star, I think this is what Dez was talking about. You got to shine on the big stage. You got to make an impression. And he made a very good impression.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And he'll put him definitely, he's right in the makes, is Carrington in at the, for 126-pound, titles. And I think that was actually a title fight of some sort.
Wait,
I have a hard
did
time.
anybody think that was a premature stoppage?
Did you?
This was the one that ended in the 12th round, like with about 20 seconds to go.
No, this is Carrington who finished Castro with a combination. It's like a fucking fatality in Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Oh, you meant the Keyshawn Davis one where he probably could have let the guy go for another.
I don't think
5
Ortiz was
seconds.
getting up, man. I think he was tired, wrecked, and that hurt his body terribly.
It just looks bad on your resume, though. But still, he looked bad anyway, so it didn't really matter.
But yeah, that was a hell of a good one. Is there anything else on that one? I didn't see anything else personally. I don't think on that one. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, the Ammo Williams.
How long have I been telling you about Bruce Carrington, though, Matty?
Yeah, you're right. But he had a few performances where I was a little bit iffy on him, you know.
Yeah, but he's another one off the Dez production line, isn't he? Talent, I spotted it early. He's a really good fighter, Bruce Carrington. And
yeah, he put it together.
Last night he showed that he can come through some sticky rounds. And this is again, I think, not wanting to harper on about the bleeding point, but we want to see fighters come through sticky moments. We want to see fighters get off the floor. We want to see fighters turn fights around. And all too often, for the way fighters are being matched and the way fighters are being sort of progressed through their career, is that they're trouble free. And we kind of like hold it against fighters that have to come through, walk through a bit of fire. Last night, he didn't have to walk through fire, Bruce Carrington, but I think it was Donnie or just, I think it was Justin that said it. It was Justin. Castro come to fight. Castro meant it. Castro was doing what we want to see from Ortiz against Keyshawn. You know, hold your feet and let your hands go. Let's see what this kid's made of. And Bruce got tagged a few times. And there was a few times there where you thought, you know what? We're going to see what Bruce is made of. And we did. And that finish from Bruce Carrington was the epitome of fast hands and accurate punching. It was a brilliant knockout. Absolutely brilliant. But it had to be because Castro was there to win. And, you know, we talk about, you know, boxing not being exciting at the moment, and perhaps I do, and it's not quite what it used to be or has been. But I want to see guys like Bruce Carrington, who's a WBC world champion, comes from a good part of New York. You know, historically, this guy should be able to fight. I want to see him walk through fire a little bit. I want to see him turn a fight around. I don't care if he has to get off the floor. I don't even care if he has to lose a few. Get in there. The best fighters always do. And last night, we found out a little bit more about Bruce Carrington. I think he's a real talent, Bruce. I've been saying it for a long time. I think he's going to go a long way in boxing. But last night, huge credit to Carlos Castro. And to go back to what Justin said, networks will have him back because he put up a good fight last night.
It was good to see, you know, and both him and Tiger Johnson were, you know, Olympians on the same team who have gotten very good knockouts in their most recent performances against good opposition. And they needed it because we had just been wondering when these guys were going to come through, and they finally, I think, have, and are starting to make that team look good. Yeah, and also on that card, I didn't catch this one. Justin, did you catch Ammo Williams against Windy Toussaint, who came in as late replacement for Adames, which really bummed me out because I thought that was going to be a good fight.
I wish I hadn't caught most of it. No, I caught it. It wasn't a good look for Ammo to go as long as he did with Windy Toussaint, who sucks. I mean, it was a bad It was a bad. I mean, I know it's the last minute, but that was one of the fights I just had in the corner while I was watching other random shit, and it was a bad fight. It was a terrible fight to watch. He should never. It was 10 rounds. He didn't need to go. He'd been better off just not fighting. I mean, honestly, it was just it didn't do anything for his career. It was just a waste of rounds.
Well, I needed to get a paycheck probably after
Yeah.
putting in that training camp. You know,
I always
You
thought
got
about that. I guess we never hear that, dude. I don't think they do, but if a guy screws you over and cancels, do the other guy get a compensation? I know we've heard for years that sometimes they do. It's up to the
I don't
promoter.
know.
I think Eddie Hearn I know he at times has.
Des, do you have any inside knowledge on that? Is there like if a pull-out clause these contracts, like so fighter doesn't have to absorb those costs?
No. So normally, if you weigh in, you get paid, and if you don't weigh in, as a rule, it's normally fights cancelled, but it's to the discretion of the promoter. Now, he's not going to give you your purse. He's not going to give you your fee. And in a situation like last night, if Ammo wasn't to get out last night, Eddie would have gone round to see him and said, "Look, I promise you, I'm going to get you on the show next week. I'm going to get you back with a win next month. I'm going to if you don't mind traveling, I'm going to fly you out to so and so, and I'll get you active the next couple of weeks or so." So there's almost gentlemen's agreements where they say, "Look,
Yeah.
I want to get you busy. I want to try and get you to recoup some of the money you've laid out. It might not be the purse you was getting tonight, but it'll be like 70% of it, and then we'll get you on the show the next one after that. But I'll do my best to try and make the situation right." That's a good promoter. But sometimes promoters don't have the pull that say Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren have. They've not got the sort of the schedule them guys have got. So if you're with a small promoter who's not got a lot of dates and your fighter pulls out, yeah, that can be, fighters, they do their money. Their training expenses, the trainers trained him for nothing. All the strength and conditions have to be paid, all your diet, nutrition, your gym fees, all have to be paid. You've gone and got yourself new kit, that all has to be covered. So, yeah, it's a nightmare when people pull out like that. And I think Eddie's been really loyal to Ammo Williams. I think when we watched Ammo box the Hamza in Riyadh, I think Eddie made a point that you boxed really well tonight. You stepped up against a fighter that's going places. You had it all against you, and I'm going to bring you back. And I think Eddie's done that. Eddie's been very loyal to Ammo Williams, and he's worked really hard to bring him back. And last night was another example of that because Eddie didn't have to put him on. That card didn't need Ammo Williams, but he kept him on the show and he got him earning money. So fair play to Eddie Hearn for that.
Yeah, you got to realize. I mean, these guys. I mean, it's their job. They got to make money doing it. So, but yeah, that was what we all saw, or at least things I saw and heard of on that card from New York last night, attended by Mr. Donnie Baseball, and New York will never be the same again. But yeah. Speaking of the card,
I will just say, Matty, we've got Donnie, we've got Marston, we've got Joe Kennedy out in Madison Square Garden watching a huge event like this. There's always a boxing nutter at some event somewhere around the world every week. They love their sport, us guys,
We get around.
We get around, yeah.
Yeah, Tupac had a song about us. Get around. Anyways, but yeah, that was it was an all right card, I guess. The main event, they don't always work out the way you want.
We also have Liam Wynn in the Congo watching fights, so we have everybody around.
Liam Wynn doing excellent work in charity, helping others as Jesus so commanded in the book of Matthew. I believe that was 25:34 when that whole thing starts. Feel free to read about that yourself. Anyways, speaking of New York, we had Mr. Xander Zayas, a Puerto Rican. I do recall has some good New York connections as well. He was in a unification last night against Avas Barreau in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and he turned in an exceptional performance. We all saw Barreau, the way that he treated Tellez. He was able to come forward, absolutely disrupt his rhythm, and caught him clean, dropped him to be able to get himself in this position for this unification. And Zayas, for the most part, was able to just dismantle him. He did it. I wouldn't go that far. Maybe in the later rounds, but he was just doing a very good job of catching Burrow as he came in with a lot of clean counters and catching him with good lead shots as well. Both hands doing what he had to do. I think he probably buzzed him a couple of times. It's not that Burrow didn't have his success, but I thought it was a clear win for Zayas. But then the scorecards come in, Justin, and it was
God
a
almighty.
split decision in his hometown. And I'm like, what in the fucking fuck? All three cards were 116, 112, but one was for a Boss Burrow. And even a Boss Burrow reacted
stunned.
like that was a stupid scorecard. But
I've never seen a fighter look at his corner and be like, how the hell did I get that? That's what he looked like. He was like looking at whispering, like, he was thinking, what the hell happened? How did I get that card? I don't know what happened. That has to be one of the worst cards of the year. That is the worst card of the year right now. I don't know who did. I don't know who did it, but by far, that's going to be hard to beat that guy. Somebody's going to have a very difficult time beating the man who gave, because you have to think, I can't see a round that Burrow won in the first 6-7 rounds. I think you can probably give him 2 or 3 at the end. I think in the second half of the fight, he started.
It would have had to have been around like 8 or 9.
Yeah,
I think like Zayas closed really well.
Yeah, because Zayas started to slow a little bit around 8 through 12, and because Burrow just didn't stop coming, and naturally you're going to slow down. But to give Burrow 8, to give him, I would love to sit back with that guy, but like, you sit there and walk me through the 8 rounds that you said he won. I want to see it. I want to see 8 rounds that you gave him, because there were some rounds where he just got peppered the whole time, where he didn't really do anything. I don't get that. That would have been one of the biggest robberies in the world if Zayas, even if it was a draw, would have been a robbery if he didn't come out of that. And I'm sure that it's just like when I went to Hopkins versus Shumanov, and we were, this is a long time ago now, we were walking out. It was me and like 4 guys. We were walking out, and I didn't even stay for the decision. I was like going to get ahead of the traffic. So I was kind of just walking towards I was almost out of the arena because I knew Hopkins was going to win. I was going to kind of just watch him get the belt, but there was no point of waiting on the decision. And all of a sudden they said they gave Shumanov, one judge gave Shumanov the fight, and man, everybody turned around and walked back. No, we were walking with. There's like 50 people turned around and kind of like walked back and kind of like looked and were like, "Oh God, what?" Like they were stunned that was the same thing last night. There's no way you could give him 8 rounds.
Drop Shumanov in like the 11th round of that fight too.
He dropped him. It was ridiculous, that fight. But I don't know what he was looking at. I guess he gave Burrell. I don't know what he gave, because it wasn't like I don't get it. Fuck it. I gotta
see that scorecard. Like, it's indefensible, but you're like morbidly curious.
Yeah. So yeah, it was that was probably the best Zayas has ever looked.
Yeah, that was a good win against a good opponent. I don't want to dismiss Burrow. I think he was
he's a good fighter. He's good.
I just thought his style plays into the hands of Zayas and what he likes to do in there.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. He was going to be made for what Zayas wanted, and he just ate him up.
Yeah, Des, you didn't catch that one, did you?
No, mate, I didn't.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, definitely, I would catch that one for sure, especially because 154 is such a stacked division. I feel might say, hey, if Josh Kelly has a title at 154, how can that be the case? Oh, trust me, it just is. Let's see here. What else was on that card? There wasn't a lot of like big stuff going on that card. But there was stuff on that card.
It was a lot of prospects. That was a pretty heavy prospect card.
Yeah, Giovanni Sanyon was on there trying to get his feet wet again.
Mop him up. He needs to just give. Boxing's not for him. He went to another 10-round war almost with some random dude they just picked off the street. Santion it's not going to happen for him. He buzzed him in the first round, and then that was it. It was just a dogfight. Boxing's not for him. They thought because he was a Mexican Olympian that he was going to be. He had the looks. He had all this ability. It's just the pro game is not going to work out for him. I've never been impressed with him, and he looked like shit versus some guy called Chris the Kingpin Pennington, who was 17-11, and it was a battle. He just needs to hang it up. It's just done.
It could be. Or he's just got his level. Go fight nobodies in a bull ring.
Yeah, he might as well.
The son of Juanma Lopez de Jesus, beat Connor Russell Goad, a fighter coming in from Arizona, who wasn't skilled, but he sure was tough.
Oh yeah, that redheaded dude was tough as tough as a $3 steak.
Yeah,
They said.
yeah. Rohan Polanco did he fight on there? Or did that fight get pulled? I can't remember.
The prospects I saw was some guy named Caban who looked pretty good, and then and Lopez's son fought.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, that was. But I'll tell you what was great. That crowd was fantastic. And I love the Puerto Rican crowd. I've been in that stadium for fight, and it's really fun. And where you got to get a lot of love for those people is Burrow was very upset afterwards, about losing his title. He was quite distraught. And Zayas, brought him over and gave him a hug, and he spoke very, very highly of him, and the crowd cheered him on and stuff like that. Like, they're really, really good and decent people down there, and that was a very touching moment in a very brutal sport that you kind of got to appreciate there. So I mean, the event, like, there wasn't like any like other than the main event, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I think something got pulled off there that was supposed to make it a little bit better. But it all in all was just it's fun because the people make it fun. There's a couple of good knockouts and stuff, but yeah, it was a good event. And again, it was free on Top Rank streaming channel. I caught it personally on Tubi. So anyhow, and then let's see here. What do we want? Oh, that's what we can go to. Dez, I'll go this with you to you on this one because I didn't see it at all. But in a 2 knockdown fight, which other than that apparently was pretty boring, Josh Kelly finds himself a world champion after beating Bakram Murtazaliev. Justin called it. I'm going to let him calm down a little bit so that he can take his victory lap. But what do you think of that one?
It's a good call by Justin. I think we saw the effects maybe from Murtazaliev not being in a ring for 14, 15 months.
Yeah.
That's a long time, and he was a bit one paced, and not that was a slow pace, but it was a bit predictable. And I think Josh worked out that pace, and it was a good performance by Josh. He did what he had to do. Now I don't think that gets you very far on the grander scheme of things at 54, but I think Josh did enough to get over the line yesterday, but it was a close one. And going into the 8th round, I thought Josh would sort of really pull away, but he got clipped. It was a clip. He got clipped around the temple, and it buzzed Josh bad, and it took him a couple of rounds to recover, and he gave up all the championship rounds as a result. Maybe he had a share of the 12th, maybe or the 11th, one of the two. But I thought it was a close one, and you don't leave that close again. But Murtazaliev is a very respectable, very strong opponent, comes forward. That's how Josh likes it. He can go on the back foot. Josh clearly has learned an awful lot from the Avanesium experience. He's come back stronger for it. I like to see kids go the long way round. I like to see them have a few ups and downs until, by the time they get there. And we've seen that with Josh. He's had a few promoters, been on a few different networks. He's lost ones he should have won, and he's been lucky not to lose others. But last night, if you put everything to one side, I think Josh might have just done enough to nick it, but it could have gone the other way. And I think Murtazaliev was caught at the right time. He's been inactive, and his breakout win was against Tim Tszyu, which is not an overly high level. So they've kept him lukewarm, Murtazaliev, and he hasn't really got going yet. So I think they've got him at the right time, and they've picked up an IBF title, and it's a good result for Josh and his team. They've worked really hard for it. I don't quite know where they go now. I'd like to see a market Josh. I think over here, geographically, that part of the world would really get behind a good talker, a good looker, someone that can fight, and someone that's got a world title. I think they'd get right behind him. So perhaps if they do a bit of work on Josh over the next 8 months and get a couple of guys over to the UK for him to maybe have a couple of defences, I think then you could talk about maybe the Boots one, or after that, maybe, the early part of next year, and give Josh a bit of time to marinate with a world title and become the fighter that he thinks he could be.
I
all
think
things told, I think last night was a decent result, a decent performance. He did what he had to do, and we move on to the next one.
it is an impressive victory, but I still think you have to believe he's got a ceiling. And if I'm his promoter, I'm not going to linger around risking him losing to some rando who he absolutely can. I think I'm going to probably try to pursue that fight with Xander Zayas and put 3 titles up.
So I'd go the other way a little bit, Matt. I understand your thinking. I'd go the other way. I think Josh has got a higher ceiling than what we're seeing. I think he's a lot better than what we've seen. I think he's got really good motor skills. And I think Josh doesn't get caught out by an average opponent in an average defence. I think he's got enough in him. If you can get over the line against a Martazeliyev, although one that was inactive, but if you can get over the line against a Martazeliyev at home, I think you can get over the line against a lot of fighters. I think they'll marinate him, and I think they'll increase his profile. They'll get him a really good standing in British boxing. I think could become a well-known attraction over the next 12 months, and then they'll put him in against the big ones like a Xander Zayas or a Boots Ennis. But I think to do it early, Matt, he doesn't win that fight. He doesn't win them type of fights, but I think he does get over the line with other fighters, and then you get him there next year. I think you've got to play a little bit of a long game with Josh Kelly.
Lennon thinks Lewis Crocker beats Josh Kelly.
It's a good fight. Lennon's called that nice. It's a good fight. It's a good fight, yeah. It's a good fight.
And okay, Justin, feel free to take your victory lap, sir.
I think what me and you talked about last week is exactly what happened. It's not a big, great prediction. I just thought that Murtazaliev, like Des said, he's been off for too long. He hasn't really beaten anybody because he beat a Tim Tszyu that should have never been in that fight, and it wasn't over the Fundora fight completely. So that we've all said that was a stupid decision to even put him in that fight. I haven't seen enough of Murtazaliev to think that he was what was going to happen. I just thought Kelly at home did what he was going to do. Some people said he ran. Like Des made a good point. He didn't run as much as he had to do what he had to do. There's no way in hell that he was going to win a fight where he had to stand there. If he'd have stood there, you saw in the later rounds, if he'd have stood there and tried to fight with him, he wouldn't have lasted 4 rounds. That just wasn't going to happen. He fought exactly what he had to do. He had to move. He had to pot shot him. He had to get rounds. He had to steal rounds, and that's exactly what he did. He busted up Murtazaliev's face, and Murtazaliev showed exactly kind of what I thought he was. He was a come forward. I wouldn't say one-dimensional, but he doesn't have a ton to his game. He relies on the fact that he's just going to overwhelm you. He's got a few good little tricky shots, but that's what he's got. I mean, that's who he is. And if you get a kid that can stay away from the big shot, Kelly stayed away. He stayed away for a while. Eventually, he caught him later in the fight just because I think Kelly, you can't keep up the style he was doing and go 12 rounds like that. You're eventually going to slow. But Kelly showed a lot of heart, more than I thought he had. It was a good win for him. I say this will be the highlight of his career. I don't know if he fought Zayas, I would lean Zayas in that fight. I think Zayas is just better than him. Nobody's going to get knocked out in that fight. I think Zayas is just better, and he has so much more tools than Murtazaliev does. But like Des said, I don't think he'll fight Zayas. I don't think that's what they'll go for at all. I think they'll go for I imagine they're going to go for probably I wouldn't say an easy defense, but there's no way that he's going to go right into a Zayas fight. I don't see that happening, especially since they don't work together. It's two different companies. So that already kind of throws that out the window of them working together at this moment. So I'd have to look up the rankings. Crocker, I guess he could fight Crocker. That would probably be easy to make. He could fight. Who did Crocker beat? I keep forgetting his name.
Paddy Donovan.
I wouldn't be stunned if they somehow didn't slide Donovan into the rankings and put him in there. There's a lot of options for him. He doesn't have to go to Zayas. We want him to go to Zayas because you always want a unification. I don't think that's where he's going.
Nah, probably not. Probably not. But we can hope. I hate all this fiddle fucking around.
Maybe we'll have to wait for the Raleigh Romero, Conor Benn. Conor Benn will go down, or the Conor Benn will just go whatever the hell that weight class was. They'll wait for that winner.
Yeah, why not?
If you look at the history of the way Adam Booth manages and trains fighters, if you look at the journey they've been on, my gut tells me that they're not going to do all this to get to the top, hold an IBF world title without maximising this opportunity, this commercial opportunity. And like I say, geographically, there's nothing like Josh Kelly up there. So they're going to try and really hone in on that. And I think they'll give him a couple of defences. And I wouldn't be too exotic with them. I think you're going to see guys that we're all pretty familiar with get brought in, get beat. And I think next year is when they'll give Josh Kelly the big push. And I think it'd be a big one, like a Xander Zayas or a Boots. But I think 2026 is going to be a year for Josh to kind of ingratiate himself with the wider audience and his local community and sell tickets up there and see if he can sell out at a big arena and maybe even a stadium when they get to 2027. But I think this year is going to be an opportunity for them to work with Josh. So I don't think you're going to see big names coming in just yet. And perhaps if you're going to bring a Crocker in or a Pierce or a Paddy or someone like that, but I think even them lads might be a little bit too much, a bit too much jeopardy for Josh Kelly at the moment.
All right, and Justin, was there anything on that undercard to speak of?
I had to remind me. I don't remember who was.
I don't
Probably
know.
not if I can't remember. I think. God, I don't. I think God, I'll keep saying I think. I hate using that. Repeat myself.
Take a look.
I'm not sure. I don't remember all the card fights. I had it on. I just don't remember who was on it. Yeah, give me like the co-main and the one before that. I might remember.
Let's see here. All right. Let's go to you.
I saw Padley. I saw the Padley fight. He got a really good win. He destroyed his guy. That was a good win. He didn't play around with him and just blew him out. So that was a good fight to watch. That guy had not sure how he was a European champion. I'm not sure how any of that worked. He should have never been in that fight. He just was completely out of his element.
Yeah, the only other thing on there, like that was up towards the upper tiers of the sport in its own way, you wouldn't have watched. That was the Turkish gal going to a split decision with Taylor Jensen. So yeah, I guess
I actually did catch that. It was really entertaining. I thought the Turkish girl won. I think she was right. I mean, it was close, probably, but I thought she won.
What Turkish girl's that, mate? Not the puncher.
Yeah, the puncher.
Really, that Turkish girl that can punch, you got a draw.
No, split decision win.
I have no idea. I didn't know what he was talking about. Yeah, I have no idea what he was talking about, but that was a good win. Like I said, the guy he fought just didn't need to be in there. And I think Padley and Kelly was the only two I watched then.
All right. Well, we did have some ProBox action, which we always love the ProBox action over, of course. I'm trying to remember the ones that I saw. Jordan White and Willie Shaw. That wasn't all too bad. All in all, Jordan White getting the W there. Francis Scarborough Jr. and Brandon Valdez. I think that one was reasonably entertaining all in all there as well. I can't remember. Didn't see that one. Let's see here. But the mains, I did see Suleiman Sagawa and Renee Palacios. Palacios winning that one over Sagawa, who has given all sorts of fighters fits, including Bruce Carrington. And I thought Palacios actually won this one pretty cleanly, even though it was a split decision. And then Brian Flores getting a majority decision over Starling Castillo in a fight that I thought he won fairly wide. Honestly, as did at least one of the judges. Two of them gave it to him, one narrowly. What'd you think of this card, Justin? Anything really stand out for you? I thought the two main fights were pretty evenly matched. All in all, okay as far as entertainment goes, but a little bit funky as far as the decisions went.
I mean, it didn't blow my skirt up. I thought it was a decent card. I like the Suleiman fight was good. That was entertaining. The main event, I wasn't entertained by the main event at all. I could not get into that fight. It just seemed I wouldn't say slow pace. It never really caught fire for me. The Suleiman fight was better, so that was probably the best fight on the card. I skimmed through because there's like 6 hours, I think ProBox card was on. So I skimmed through the first 2 hours just watching pieces here and there. But Suleiman was the best one. The main event just never, I didn't get anything out of that.
All right. Any thoughts on the stuff that was further down the card? It was like 6 hours worth of stuff on there. I couldn't watch it all. I like ProBox, but
that's what I said. I looked at it because I watched the replay this morning, and when I saw it said 6:45, fuck me. I'm not watching 7 hours. I love ProBox, but I'm not watching 7 hours of ProBox. So I just skimmed the first two. I watched the final 3 fights. I skimmed through the rest of it, and Suleiman was the only thing worth the crap.
they're advertising that drug rehab facility. Maybe that's their game, is to put on so much boxing that you have to use cocaine or meth just to like stay up for it.
Well, the pregame,
that's where they got you to their rehab. You go.
The pregame isn't bad if you watch, because it's like all of them in the studio talking, and Polly knows what he's talking about. So I don't mind watching the pregame where they just kind of discuss like who's going to fight. They just kind of discuss boxing. So if you don't have a lot of stuff to listen to about boxing, that's not bad. They kind of go over the ProBox. They kind of go over a little bit of everything, and that lasts to like, I know, Matt, you watched it. I think it takes like 30, 40 minutes where they just kind of do like their own little This World and boxing show kind of.
Yeah, I watch that sometimes.
So that's good information if you just want something to listen to. But besides that, I can't watch 7 hours. I used to do that. Those days are over when I would sit here and just watch 7 hours of a card from like the Brentford Leisure Center starting at like 11 in the morning. Those days are over with. I guess I had no life back then. I still don't have a life, but I definitely had no life back then.
Yeah. Oh, no, man. I remember watching those Wealth TV cards that were like 5 hours long. There were some good fights on those. Yeah, you're right. I didn't have a life. That's what it came down to. I did not have a life. But
be honest with you, who needs a life? This can be your life.
Yeah, I don't know. Having a life involves like being around, human beings, and that I don't know.
It's overrated.
Definitely.
Especially kids. You don't want to be around kids 5 days a week.
Kids are fucking great. It's the adults that are fucking awful.
No, that's what I've said. That's why I'm around kids like 8 to 9 hours a day, and I prefer them over the adults.
Fucking A. Adults are fucking dickheads. Kids have a great time. Man, kids are like, they know how to have a good fucking time. Adults suck. Kids know how to fucking party.
We're going down a different road now. Let's get off the kids. We like kids, but
I never get on kids, Justin. And no one ever has to tell me to get off of them. So we got some fights coming up this week that we're talking about. Let's go with what's happening. I'm trying to do this. I want to do this kind of in a weird, funky order because one of these cards is starting in like 2 hours, and we're going to talk about that. But we have something on Montreal. I don't know if we'll be able to watch this anywhere. Well, the people, they always figure it out. Albert Ramirez is facing Lerone Richards at light heavyweight. Good fight there. Thomas Chabot against Dominic Babounol. And then you got some other guys in against TBAs, including Mehmet Unal, who is a good fighter. I think Mehmet Unal, didn't he have a really good knockout in his last fight for some reason? I'm thinking. Could be wrong.
He's German, isn't he?
Could be. Fucking people come to Canada from all over the place. Canada's what United States was 30 years ago.
I know there's another popular German fighter named Unal. Maybe I don't know. Hell, maybe I'm wrong, but I had to look that up.
No, maybe it's anal. Maybe that's what's popular that you're thinking of. But anyhow, but yeah, Albert Ramirez against Lerone Richards. That's a real step up for Ramirez. Lerone Richards, capable operator, former title challenger, if I recall. I think that is probably going to be an interesting fight and a very necessary fight for Ramirez as he's working his way towards title contention. And normally I would close with this one if it wasn't one of those odd things, as I said, where we're going to have a fight on here in a couple hours. But we're going to go over to Liverpool, as so many people did not want to do. But we're going to do it for some boxing. And this card is a little bit sparse as far as competitive fights and stuff like that. But we'll go work up this this undercard and see if there's anything that you like there, Dez. And this is what I have. Some of these TBAs might have changed, but Dez, if you're listening, tell me if any of these names are people that are on your radar that worth talking about. We got a Sam Norris against Jack England, Luke Pryor against Ryan Frost, Patty Lacey against Jack Swallow. What a terrible name to be given. William Birchall against Kane Singh, Luke Turner against Jensen Irving, Luka Setso Biswana versus Liam McMillan. And then Stephen Clark is against TBA. Brad Strand against TBA. We know Brad. Jack Turner is against TBA. Any thought? And also you have Andrew Kane versus Alejandro Jair Gonzalez, who I will go look up now. Any thoughts on that undercard, Dez?
No, nothing really, mate. That's a Warren show, isn't it, in Liverpool?
Yes.
No, it's a.
No, that would be Eddie because it's a Nick Ball headline. Yeah.
No, it's
Nick
a Warren show. No, Warren.
Okay.
Nick Balls with Warren.
Okay. Damn it.
Nick Balls with Warren. So when is that show? Is that next week?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
So I'm not gonna talk about it. Just to remind me, it's the Nick Ball v Figueroa, isn't it? Main event.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Brad Strand, Jack Turner. Two good fighters. Stephen Clark. Yeah, it's a lot of scousers on that one, as you'd expect from a city like Liverpool. Got a lot of fighters, but it's really about the main event. That one, mate. There'll be no surprise on the undercard, and there's no fireworks on the undercard. All the money's in the main event.
Tell you what could be an interesting one on the undercard, and just not to underrate it, but Andrew Kane, he's a quality enough fighter, but he has the loss to Baluta on there. It was a split decision, but he's done really well since then. Went over Charlie Edwards recently, and you might think big step down going into 19-6-3. Alejandro Jair Gonzalez. But Gonzalez is undefeated in his last 7 fights. Before that was a majority decision loss to a 10-2 fighter. A few fights before that, he had a loss to a 15-0-1 fighter. He lost to the very skilled, I believe, former Titleist Laborio Solis in 2022. One loss at the time, Frenzy Fortunato Sata. One loss at the time of Brian Mercado Vasquez. Is that the Brian Vasquez I'm thinking of?
What's the difference, Matty? You know them fights. You know them fights you've just mentioned. What's the difference between all of them and this one?
These people can actually get a tan.
No, they're dragging him 6,000 miles. He's never fought outside of Mexico, and he's not. Go on, Joe.
No, I was thinking, but that's out of the three guys they brought over. One of them is going to beat the Liverpool. One of them is going to upset one of the Liverpool dudes.
One of them is going to be an upset. Yeah,
because like you said, I know it's a long travel, but that always happens because these guys are just tested from the first day they.
That's where you're wrong. So he came over to the UK to New Douglas Park. And he beat he had a majority decision victory over the at the time undefeated Billy Stewart for the IBF Youth Super Bantamweight Championship.
I remember Billy Stewart. He was a big prospect. I like William Birchall though on the undercard. He's the guy they're giving a pretty big push. I know Dez knows, but they've been giving him and his brother, I think, are both fighters, and they've been giving him a pretty he's been fighting. He's been pretty active. This is like his fourth fight in just a few months. So that's a guy that I've kept an eye on. He looks like he could be interesting. Let's put it that way.
That's a good pick, Justy. That's good. We'll keep an eye on him. That's a good pick.
Yeah, I'm telling you though, don't doubt this Mexican.
So you fancy the Mexican against Andrew Kane, Matty?
I don't know if the odds are up on that one yet. Let's take a look at that one. If they're not, that would be one I'd kind of want to take a look at. That could be worth. I'll
have a cheeky fiver with you if you want.
Yeah, let's see here. Because it's one like when the odds come up, it's one of those things that sounds like a 7-8 to 1 all day long, doesn't it? Like I think there's value there, but we'll see if it's actually up yet. It probably is over there. You guys obviously are way more on that than we are, especially shit happening on your soil. Let's see here.
If I had to pick one, of the Liverpool lads to get caught out, it might be Brad Strand. It might be Brad Strand because he's in with a puncher, and he can get hit easily, Brad. And what we saw against Baluta and McCann, it goes into a bit of a shell if he gets tagged and buzzed. And against a Mexican that can punch, who's got nothing to lose, that might be an odd combination for him.
Well, Des, you're right too, because Strand can't punch through anything. He doesn't have that much power.
He's not a puncher. No, he's not a puncher.
No.
So
if he can't keep that guy off, that's gonna be a hard fight.
No, he won't keep him off. So if any of the Liverpool lads are going to get caught out, maybe it's Brad Strand.
I'll tell you what. That not only is that fight not up there yet, Des, they don't even have odds for Nick Ball and Figueroa up yet. So that's interesting. But yeah, I think that fight is definitely interesting. But the main event, I think it's going to be good, and I wouldn't write off Figueroa in this one because people are thinking, oh, he's had the loss to Fulton and he looks awful. But Justin, tell me what Nick Ball does that's similar to Stephen Fulton.
That's similar to Stephen Fulton?
Yeah.
Not much.
I don't know that one has anything to do with the other. I think this is why triangle theories don't work.
I don't think there's nothing Nick Ball does Fulton does. I think they're about as opposite as you can get as far as fighters. There's absolutely no similarities between those two. I can't think of one. So this is going to be, we know what Figueroa does. Figueroa is the easiest person in the world. There's no tricks with him. He's going to throw a shitload of punches and come right at you. He doesn't have a lot of power. His goal is, I'm going to overwhelm you and I'm going to come at you. So there's no way this fight can't be an exciting fight. Both guys fight the exact way. We're coming head first, throwing shots. I'm going to put my pressure on you and make you fold. And the other guy that's exactly the way he thinks. This is a great matchup. I can't see any way this won't be a good fight. Simply, like I just said, they fight the exact same style. Ball is not going to try to box him. Figueroa is not going to try to change. I have never seen Figueroa fight any differently. Every fight from day one is, and sometimes he doesn't even throw punches. He's just windmilling. This is going to be an interesting
and that's
fight.
where Ball could be better. It's just shorter arms, shorter punches.
That's
in the middle a little bit.
That's where if I have to pick, I lean Ball. I'm not the biggest Ball fan. I think he's a limited guy and he's going to get knocked out soon. Figueroa's not that guy. Figueroa, if he had great power, would be undefeated right now. He just doesn't have big time power.
Yeah, big volume.
And Ball, you're not going to stop. You're not going to slow a Ball down with volume like that because I think he punches harder. He's going, like you just said, he's going to get inside. I can see Ball stopping Figueroa late in this fight, but my prediction is going to be Ball's going to win like a 115, 113 type thing. The only thing I hope for is that Figueroa brings his sister because that's what women boxing needs. We need her.
Amen.
She needs to get the gloves, get in there, lace them up. We need to get her trained up. I will watch women's boxing if she decides that's where she needs to go in life. That's who we need to make women's boxing great. So I imagine she'll be with him. That's what I'm hoping. So we'll see. I'll give Brandon this. He didn't become his brother. At least he didn't go the Omar route.
Stylistically, I worry he's becoming like his brother, though. I think he gets sloppier as his career goes on.
Omar went from being pretty tight, like his whole form, and like you said, it just looked terrible his last part of his career. He had everything he did was stupid. Remember,
was it Lipinets that beat the fuck out of him at the end of his career?
And you remember that one fight where he changed his whole style? So he had this weird like movement he was doing. He looked like he was on some kind of medication. He's like, y'all remember? I know people listening to this remember that fight where he was like doing that weird body movement.
That was the Lipinets.
It might have been. He looked
moving his glove to the opposite side.
Yeah,
he looked take his right hand and put it over to his left.
Yeah, he looked so stupid. I think at that point he had just given up and he was just in for the paycheck. Is when you start doing stupid shit. That's probably time you need to retire because that means you have scraped the bottom of the barrel. You have nothing left to do. So at least, but Brandon is getting there. He's probably a few fights away because if he loses the ball, I mean, where is he going to go now? He's lost all his last big fight.
That's all. I mean,
There's not
because
much
at
left.
this point in time, he's the not only the away fighter, but now he's an overseas away fighter. Like he's definitely slid. He this isn't a PBC card, like PBC said, yeah, go ahead. So obviously at this point in time, Figueroa's in big need of a win. And I wouldn't write him off and I'll tell you what, in Des, the reason I wouldn't write Brandon Figueroa off on this one is if there's one thing that I've seen bother Nick Ball a little bit, it's body shots, and they were some body shots from Ray Vargas, who was not a puncher at all. Is Brandon Figueroa a big puncher? No, but he's certainly a bigger puncher than Ray Vargas, and he is also a fairly long fighter who will kind of be able to get in there. So I kind of am thinking differently than Justin. I think this fight will either be highly disputed if Ball wins on the scorecards, or I think Figueroa wins or stops him late.
Yeah, that's a good assessment, Matty. And you'd be foolish to write Figueroa off because he's a world-class operator. We've spent a lot of time on this pod talking about Nick Ball, and I don't know. I think it coincided the time that I started coming on this pod. Nick Ball won a world title and has had some really good, interesting defenses. What do we know about Nick Ball? Right? So he's got an amazing television-friendly style. He always comes in good shape. He's from a really good city. They'll all get behind him. I think he's got a world title. I think you can really work with Nick Ball, but I think the people behind Nick Ball will want to tweak him a little bit. And if you go back to the Dogbe fight, I thought Nick Ball was too easy to hit in that one, and Dogbe was arguably at the very end of his career. Ray Vargas, he got the split, and I'm agreeing with you. I thought Ray Vargas found Nick Ball too easy to hit. He was too available. The best performance for me was against Raymond Ford. I thought
in a fight I thought he lost.
Me too. I thought he just lost it, but no arguments. It was a close one.
He really, other than a couple of fights, Ball, his contender to championship run has been, really by the skin of his teeth.
Correct. And that was my point. You've nailed it. Bang on. They won't be happy with the way he's getting over the line in some of these fights. And I think that stylistically, I don't think it suits Nick to fight guys that are a little bit tricky. Guys that know how to be reactive, good counter punchers, guys that can sit on the back foot and just slip and throw. And we saw a bit of that with Ronnie Rios. Ronnie Rios was hitting Nick Ball too much. And Nick Ball was too available against Ronnie Rios. And they've brought guys up like Doheny.
And Ronnie is a limited guy. He is like dictionary picture of Ronnie Rios average,
Yeah.
Well, prime Ronnie Rios would have knocked him out.
Interesting.
Well, you remember that fight? You remember that fight, didn't you, Justin? Remember that fight? He was far too available.
No, Ball. I just said earlier, it's coming. He's gonna bite off more than he can chew. Figueroa I don't think he's that guy because he just doesn't punch hard enough, I think, to stop Ball. But I think some guy said on the chat, if he fights like a Carrington, those type guys, they will stop Ball. They would, no doubt in my mind, they will stop him if he fights.
Well, this is what I think the reason behind Figueroa is, because although Figueroa's long-limbed, he fights like he swarms you. He's got a lot of intensity, and he'll press Nick Ball. And what that'll do, I think Nick Ball might be a fighter that's better off when he holds his feet, as opposed to when he goes looking for you. When he goes looking for you, he does a lot in straight lines, and his chin comes up. And he's easy to hit with a kid that knows how to sit on the back foot, slip and throw. So I think Figueroa will play into Nick Ball's hands. I think Figueroa will do the walking, he'll do the pressing, and I think that will give Nick Ball an opportunity to keep his chin down and let his hands go and hold his feet. And I think that's where Nick Ball wins his fight. I think Nick Ball wins it. I think he looks brilliant. I think he lets his hands go. I think he comes from a very solid position where his feet are held. And he doesn't have to go looking for Figueroa. In the past, when Nick Ball's had to go looking for kids, that's when he seems to get tagged. He's too available. And I think the people behind Nick Ball have worked on that and they've matched him accordingly. You're quite right what you say about the Carringtons of this world. You wouldn't put Nick Ball anywhere near Bruce Carrington right now. So I think they're trying to get as much as they can at this level where they can say, let's bring guys in, let's get as many learning fights at this level as we can for Nick Ball. We've been talking about this for the last 18 months on the pod. Nick Ball needs fights where he can develop and learn, not where he's getting caught out and just getting over the line. And I think this fight against Figueroa is one where he can develop and learn as opposed to getting over the line.
We'll see. I'll tell you what I think is most important as far as it goes on this might not be who wins or who loses, but at this point in time, the clubhouse leader for fight of the year, you'd have to say it's Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias. That was good fun, even though it only went 5-6 rounds, whatever it was.
And a brilliant result. Yeah.
But stylistically speaking, I think this fight has a very good chance of becoming the new leader for fight of the year come time of the podcast.
They fight the exact same way. They fight the exact same way. There's neither guy can fight any differently. So you don't have to worry about somebody changing. That's how there's nothing going to be different. They can't do anything different. We're not going to see Nick Ball at 4'5" try to box off. We're not going to see him boxing off the back foot and trying to like bob and weave. That's never going to happen. If Figueroa could actually box, he could probably win this fight, but he can't actually technically.
Don't be surprised if he doesn't do that a little bit, just to throw a wrench in the gears.
That would be completely different game plan than he's ever done.
He'll get sucked into a fight. Don't worry.
He'll pull the Gotti. You remember Gotti? Remember the thing with Gotti?
Yeah,
he's got a new trainer. He would go about 2 rounds.
Yeah, he did hit cleanly one fucking time.
And get pissed.
Like, all right, motherfucker.
But Gotti looked so good when he boxed. He looked so fluid.
He was a sharp-looking boxer, wasn't
he? He could not stop himself.
Shape really well. He stayed behind his shoulder,
quick-handed,
fairly decently.
Yeah, it was. I don't understand the mentality. As soon as you even got toast to him, well, it's on now. He
lived for the cheers, Justin.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys. He didn't want to win by he wanted to hurt you, and he wasn't going to change that. And like you said, the cheers, he wasn't going to change who he was. I mean, the Alfredo Gomez was an upsetting fight for me. And then the worst was when he lost to the child molester. That was a bad fight. You remember Ball? What's his name? That he fought him and Floyd Mayweather.
Carlos Baldomir.
Carlos Baltimore, yeah, he's in jail for He was in jail for raping.
Oh yeah, dude, that guy had a fucking chin on him. Though.
Talk about the worst appointment for Gotti. You do not fight a guy who cannot be knocked out.
But no, when he fought Floyd, people are booing in the 10th round and walking out. Like
you can't knock Baltimore out. He had. I mean, in prison, they're going to test that chin in prison. I'm sure it's been tested more than once.
You're close. They're going to test that throat in prison.
I mean, he's going to be a tough guy to hold down. He's in good shape still, probably, but I imagine they're going to get him. But if you look up Carlos Baldomir, those were like horrific charges he got.
Oh, I don't even want to.
Yeah, we're talking about straight rape of younger kids. It was not. It was bad.
Oh, that's terrible. And
but just to go back a step.
Yeah.
Before we go down a rabbit hole here, right?
Rabbit hole, fucking least of our problems.
Right. So. The most important element of this fight, stylistically, is that Nick Ball's not got to go looking for Figueroa, and that's what's going to make Nick Ball a lot more comfortable in there. He ain't got to go searching. He ain't got to be pressing the fight. Figueroa will bring the fight to him. If form's everything to go by, Figueroa will come looking for Nick Ball, and that'll make it a lot easier for Nick. And I think he'll be a lot more comfortable in that position.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to this one. I certainly am. It's a solid fight. But we got some stuff coming up. Literally, like I said, in hours here. I don't know exactly when the undercard starts. I should probably just flip on Paramount Plus and let it go. But let's see here. Bear with me. There we go. So we got the second of the Zuffa boxing cards coming up here. And this one has a couple of fights that
Matt, I'm sorry I interrupt you, but I can't get this off my mind. Carlos Baldomir is actually dead now. They broke into the pedophile wing and beat him to death.
Did they?
4 years ago,
We missed that.
And the Mexico prison, they broke into the segregated wing where all the child molesters are and beat them all to death.
Huh.
Yeah, so he's not with us anymore. So we can close the book on. So think about this: he died in 2020. He fought for the world title. He fought Canelo in
6 years ago, Justin.
That's 4 years ago. Whatever. I get my math on that. But he fought Floyd Mayweather 2014. He fought Canelo 2016, and he got beat to death by prisoners in 2020. So he had a pretty rough decade.
That was a hard run.
That was a hard run. Sorry. I had to get that off my mind. I was looking at it.
No, you're good. So we got so tonight. These are what we have as far as the fights that they have listed on odds. The undercard, there is more stuff going on. Like I said, it's probably started now on Paramount Plus. I think you guys got it on YouTube maybe over there. Just look up Zuffa Boxing on YouTube and see what you come up with. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. And there's a few fights on here that I like. First of all, you got this might not be the most competitive fight, but you got Justin Valoria, yes, and that is the nephew, I believe, of the Hawaiian Punch Brian Valoria, who was a fantastic flyweight once upon a time, taking on Oscar Perez. Perez is a 9-2 underdog on there. Then you have Jalil Hackett taking on Roberto Cruz. Cruz is just a smidge less than that. I think, what would that be technically? 17-4 is what Cruz is paying on the underdog, testing my math there. But let's take a little bit more look at this card and these fighters. Actually, I'm going to go. Actually, I think Roberto Cruz is an easier search. But again, this is a little bit more competitive. Their first one was kind of a bummer. And the biggest bummer about it was the fact that Kellerman was so up the butts of what was going on in the ring and of what whatchamacallit is and what Turkey is doing. And that's just a serious bummer for me. But yeah, all right, here we go. We're in business. So yeah, we got 11-1 guys going at it with Hackett and Roberto Cruz. Cruz's only loss was to there you go. You might remember this guy a little bit. He hasn't fought for about 7 months, Justin. But Roberto Cruz Jr., his only loss, he lost by a stoppage to Andres Katsourakis, the guy who beat Brandon Adams in the overtime boxing tournament.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yep. So, and Hackett also 11-1 at this time. He suffered the Willings curse, losing to Jose Roman Vasquez a couple of fights ago. So that is what is facing Mr. Hackett. That could be an interesting fight despite the odds on that one. And then we also are going to go and have I closed that. Close the odds. It's okay. This one, I kind of like the underdog in this one. On this one, Des, we got Hot Rod Kalajdzic going in there against Alexander Vostik, and Vostik did a short little comeback run here, working his way back into that Benavidez fight, and he did. It was rough for probably the first 8 or 9 rounds, and then he kind of came back into it the last few rounds. Showing what he was as a veteran. Since then, he had one little warm-up fight against Anthony Holloway. Hot Rod he lost to David Morrell over 12 rounds in a fight that we kind of thought that he might get smoked in, and he had a good run before that. He beat Sullivan Barrera. So I don't know. I kind of think I get a feeling that we're going to be here next Sunday talking for a moment about the signature win of Kalajdzic's career. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Hot Rod in this one. Only the good ones beat Hot Rod. He got beat by Beterbiev as well, didn't he?
I think so. Maybe earlier in his career.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he got beat. He fought Beterbiev.
Yeah, he got stopped.
Beterbiev's beating both of these kids. Yeah, Beterbiev's beating both of these. Gavonic is a good fighter, but I think, not to be disrespectful, I think Beterbiev ended Gavonic that night, and he's never really been the same since. He's had surgery, he's had a long layoff, he's had retirement, he's come back, new training team. Remind me again, Benavidez beat him out last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, he had,
Gavonic.
he,
Yeah, but
yeah, he had,
no
one, he had one
disgrace.
fight after that, but it was against the
Yeah,
real no one.
yeah, no disgrace in losing to Benavidez. What it tells us is that no, I don't think Gavonic wins this one. It's a close one though. There's not a lot in it, but I just think Hot Rod has got a little bit too much energy and has been a little bit too active. And I'm not quite sure Gavonic has got it in him now to beat a kid like Hot Rod at this stage. I don't think it'd be fireworks. I don't think it'd be a great fight, but I think Hot Rod will have too much energy, bit too much variation, and just be too much of a dog in the fight.
Yeah, and, if I was you, Des, based on that, you might want to pull up your favorite betting app and put a little on Hot Rod. He was a little better than 3-1, so might be worth a punt for you there. Yeah, might be worth a punt for you there.
So I think Gvozdyk beats him. So.
You're that there's a reason the odds are what they are. I just like
Gvozdyk. I think he'll beat him.
Oh, dude, like I am telling you. Until he beat Dmitry Bivol, the best win of his career was for Better Biev was against Gvozdyk, 100%. That I've always been high on Gvozdyk. It was a shame he stepped away for so long, but he's long in the tooth. That Benavidez fight was tough, and I just think it's just a case of catching a guy at the right time. That's my honest opinion.
You're probably right. I'm just going to go for the fact I just like Gvozdyk. So I just like him. So I'm gonna go for him just because.
All right,
that's why I like. I'm really not putting a lot of in-depth analysis on this one. I just like him.
And with tighter odds, although Bahuchik is a favorite, Bahuchik and Ratsa Butyaev is a really good fight. Butyaev was a fighter that was definitely on the come up until he fought Emmanuel Stanionis, and what was a very good fight, a little bit of an underrated one in my opinion. But I think that this one a little bit more, like I said, it's closer with the odds. But Bahuchik had that fight. Let's see here. It was September 13th. Yeah, that was on the Canelo card. That's right. I was there. Against Brandon Adams. He didn't lose by knockout, but on that particular card, Des, that's only about 4 months ago, give or take 4.5 months ago. I thought he took a little bit of a beating in that fight. If I'm leaning towards Butaev on this one, it's only because I think this might be one of those cases where a little bit of rest is a little bit better idea than the ring rust you might take on. Well, what are your thoughts, Des? Butaev has been inactive. It's a different story for him.
I remember watching. Is it Buachuk you pronounce his name, Matty? You always got me right on his pronunciation. Is it? I thought when I looked against Buachuk against Adams, I thought that's the end of him. I thought, we've seen the best of Buachuk, and it's just one of them brilliant Ukrainians off that brilliant Ukrainian team that's probably had too many hard fights, and now the fight's been beaten out of him a little bit. I think this will be a test, and you're right what you say about the inactivity. I'm not quite sure with this one, Matty. I don't know how it's going to go, and I won't know until I see a rhythm in the first 2 or 3 rounds, and what fighter wants to impose themselves, and who's going to get into a steady rhythm and try and dominate the center of the ring and impose their style. I just don't know until I see this one. There's so much jeopardy for both kids in this fight.
And just so Hot Rod is actually where I'm looking. He's almost 4-1 actually. Butaev is just shy of 3-2. As in a double, you're getting a 22-2.
That's good value. It's very good value.
That's an interesting bet
because both of them can come off.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like I said, this is off a card. Honestly, like I love to hate on Turkey Al-Sheikh and I love to hate on Dana White. I think they're a match made in hell, frankly, and they make perfect bedfellows. But this card, I can't knock it. I honestly, I think it's a solid second offering for sure. The main event was Jose Valenzuela against Diego Torres. This one is a little bit wider odds, and that's why I'm kind of surprised. This is in the main event. Let's go take a look. Mr. Diego Torres Nunez, 22-1, 19 wins by stoppage. His only loss was by stoppage. He lost to Raymond Murataya. Went 8 rounds with him. Didn't win a round. Trying to remember that one. That was in 2023, late 2023. Yeah, this might be a decent little fight, actually. Valenzuela is a good fighter. He's had some solid performances in his career. He's a little bit hot and cold. He lost to Gary Antoine Russell over 12. Pretty much got blanked in that one.
Got well
He
beat,
had,
got well
yeah,
beat,
but he had the back-to-back fights against Chris Colbert, where he should have won both of them. The second one he won by a stoppage, and then he had that win over Isaac Cruz as well. But that one, Colbert, this one, tell you what, another one where the underdog, I don't know enough about him to say like, oh, that's worth a punt. But at 5-1, this is something to consider about Valenzuela, is that Colbert, we could see from previous performances that Colbert was definitely a sitting duck, just waiting to be defeated. He couldn't hold a shot. He was just missing something. And Isaac Cruz, he did what you do with a small guy. You keep him at the end of the jab, you move around a little. He fought him the way that you have to. Then, he fought Gary Antoine Russell, and he got blanked, absolutely blanked. So this, whether Nunez wins or not, I think it is more competitive than being a 5-1 underdog would entail. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Justin?
I think Colbert sucks, so I'm going for the other guy. You remember he used to come out with that dumbass pillow and carry it to the ring and do all that stupid shit like he was this like God's gift to boxing, and then you realize that he's just trash and that he's not any good. So I'm going for the other guy. I don't have confidence in him beating anybody, so I will just put money on the other guy. I can't stand Chris Colbert. I think he is just a waste of space. He's not bringing a stupid pillow anymore, I don't think. Remember, he had him like special embroidered with the guy's name on it that he was getting ready to beat, so because he could like put the pillow under their head when he knocked them out. All that stupid shit. Yeah, he sucks.
Well, remember, he's not the one fighting though.
Oh, it's not. Who the hell am I talking about?
What the fuck were you listening to?
I don't know.
He's fighting Jose Valenzuela. So Jose Valenzuela is fighting Diego Torres Nunez. Valenzuela's the guy that.
No, he beat Chris Colbert. Oh, good.
The guy that beat Chris Colbert and Isaac Cruz.
And
Nunez lost to Murataya about 4 fights back.
The whole time you were talking, I was trying to get my schedule my spine doctor appointment for tomorrow. Oh. So I just heard Chris Colbert and I was like, it triggered me.
Like, fuck that guy.
I can't stand. Like, glad he's on the card then. Yeah. So I don't know. I let Des handle it. I was right in the middle of trying to get my spine fixed.
No, you're fine. I think honestly we've probably done as much damage on this stuff as we can today.
That fight starts at 5:30 our time, so it's probably
3:30 my time,
10:30 UK. Let's go with 3. We can pick all the times. 4:30 Central.
40 minutes. It's starting in 40 minutes. Let's go with that.
And 2:30 if you're on the West Coast.
There you go. So so we've got that going for us. If you want to get yourself some of this Zuffa boxing action, I do. Like I said, I can't stand Turkey and Dana White. I just like to piss on everything that they do anymore. But as far as this goes, good card. Truly good card for just, your basic Paramount Plus subscription shit. And I think you guys in the UK, hop on YouTube, I think, and you could watch some of this before you go to bed, or maybe you're rocking the booger sugar and you're going to be up all night. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life.
Well, the good thing is you can watch the replay on YouTube. If you don't want to stay up.
There you go. So anyhow, we got that going for us. We got somehow maybe you'll catch that Canadian card in the middle of the week. I think it's good to stay on top of Albert Ramirez. He's an interesting prospect. And then Nick Ball against Figueroa. Like I said, that's got potential fight of the year written all over it. So be sure to catch that one. Watch me get egg on my face and it be a trash fight. We shall see. But for Justin, for Des, for our friend, Mr. Donnie Baseball, I've been your host, Matt DiGianardo. You folks have a lovely evening.